Has Bitcoin finally reached a turning point, or is another wave of selling still waiting ahead? Fear continues dominating the crypto market. Technology stocks remain under pressure. Investors are questioning strategy's Bitcoin position. Yet beneath all the negative headlines, the charts may be telling a very different story. Welcome back to Fredtong Capital. Let's break down today's biggest developments across global markets and cryptocurrencies. Today's headlines: Bitcoin stabilizes near a major support zone after last week's sharp sell-off. Strategy concerns continue weighing on market sentiment. Technology stocks remain under pressure as investors reduce exposure to risk assets. Oil prices fall below $70 while geopolitical tensions remain in focus. Bitcoin and Ethereum both enter a critical consolidation phase. Global market snapshot. Global markets continue navigating a period of elevated uncertainty. Risk assets remained under pressure as investors responded to weaker sentiment across technology stocks and ongoing geopolitical developments. Despite renewed tensions in the Middle East, crude oil slipped below $70 per barrel, suggesting traders currently believe supply disruptions are unlikely to escalate into a broader energy crisis. Meanwhile, investors continue rotating toward defensive positioning while waiting for stronger signals from both economic data and central bank policy. Although cryptocurrencies have also experienced increased volatility, today's market action suggests that selling momentum may be beginning to slow. The next few trading sessions could become increasingly important for determining whether markets stabilize or extend the current correction. Crypto market briefing. Within the crypto market, sentiment remains cautious. Much of the recent discussion continues to focus on strategy and Michael Saylor, following renewed speculation surrounding the company's Bitcoin holdings. While uncertainty has fueled another wave of bearish commentary across social media, there has been no indication that the company is changing its long-term Bitcoin strategy. Historically, periods like this often generate emotional reactions that amplify market volatility. At the same time, broader market participation has started to decline. Trading activity has cooled compared with the aggressive selling seen earlier in the week, suggesting that both buyers and sellers are becoming increasingly patient while waiting for the market's next major catalyst. For now, uncertainty remains high, but panic appears to be gradually fading. Bitcoin market analysis. Now let's focus on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently trading just above the $60,000 level after rebounding from recent lows near $58,000. Looking at the daily chart, the broader trend remains under pressure. Price continues trading below previous swing highs, meaning the market has yet to confirm a meaningful trend reversal. However, one important change has started to appear. The aggressive selling that dominated earlier this month has slowed considerably. Instead of continuing lower, Bitcoin has spent the past several sessions moving sideways within a relatively narrow range. On the 4-hour chart, this consolidation reflects a temporary balance between buyers and sellers. Neither side has been able to establish clear control. Volume has also declined compared with the recent sell-off, indicating that panic selling is beginning to lose momentum. This doesn't necessarily signal the beginning of a new bull trend, but it does suggest that the market may be entering an accumulation phase rather than another period of capitulation. From a psychological perspective, investor sentiment remains overwhelmingly bearish. Ironically, some of Bitcoin's strongest recoveries throughout previous market cycles began during periods when confidence was at its lowest. Of course, history never guarantees the future, but experienced investors often pay closer attention when fear becomes the dominant emotion across the market. As long as Bitcoin continues holding above its recent support area, the probability of an extended consolidation remains intact. The next challenge for buyers will be rebuilding enough momentum to reclaim higher resistance levels and gradually restore market confidence. For now, patience remains the most valuable strategy. Ethereum analysis. Now let's shift our focus to Ethereum. Ethereum continues moving in line with Bitcoin, but from a technical perspective, it remains the weaker of the two assets. On the daily chart, Ethereum is still trading well below its previous recovery highs, confirming that sellers continue to control the broader trend. Unlike Bitcoin, which has begun showing signs of stabilization, Ethereum has yet to demonstrate meaningful buying momentum. Over the past several trading sessions, price has settled into a narrow consolidation range around the $1,580 level. Looking at the 4-hour chart, volatility has declined noticeably. Large impulsive moves have been replaced by smaller candles with decreasing volume, suggesting that market participants are waiting for a stronger catalyst before committing to either direction. This type of price action often reflects indecision rather than conviction. For Ethereum to regain bullish momentum, buyers first need to reclaim several nearby resistance levels and establish a series of higher highs on the lower timeframes. Until then, the short-term outlook remains neutral to slightly bearish. More importantly, Ethereum's next major move will likely continue to depend on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin successfully builds a base above current support, Ethereum could begin outperforming during the next recovery phase. However, if Bitcoin loses momentum again, Ethereum may experience another round of relatively stronger downside pressure. Key levels to watch. Let's take a look at the most important price levels investors should be watching. For Bitcoin, the first key support remains around the $60,000 region. This level has become an important psychological battleground between buyers and sellers. If Bitcoin continues holding above this area, the market could spend more time building a solid base before attempting another recovery. However, a decisive breakdown below recent lows would likely invite another wave of selling and increased downside risk toward the mid-$50,000 region. On the upside, Bitcoin would first need to reclaim the $62,000 level. Doing so would be the first indication that short-term momentum is beginning to improve. For Ethereum, immediate support remains around the $1,550 region. As long as buyers continue defending this level, Ethereum has an opportunity to stabilize alongside Bitcoin. The first meaningful resistance sits between $1,600 and $1,650. Only a sustained move above that range would begin improving Ethereum's short-term technical picture. Market outlook. So, where does the market go from here? At the moment, financial markets are sending mixed signals. Investor sentiment remains cautious. Risk appetite is still relatively weak, and macroeconomic uncertainty continues limiting aggressive buying. Yet beneath the surface, the technical picture appears to be stabilizing. Bitcoin has stopped making new lows. Ethereum is beginning to consolidate, and overall selling pressure has eased compared with the sharp liquidation seen earlier this month. This doesn't necessarily mean the correction is over, but it does suggest that the market may be transitioning from panic toward patience. The next several trading sessions will likely determine whether this consolidation develops into a sustainable recovery or simply becomes another pause before volatility returns. For investors, this remains a market that rewards discipline rather than emotion. Instead of chasing every short-term move, many experienced participants will continue focusing on risk management, confirmation, and the broader market structure before making significant decisions. That wraps up today's daily market briefing. If you found this analysis valuable, be sure to subscribe to Fredtong Capital and turn on notifications so you never miss our daily coverage of Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrencies, macroeconomics, and global financial markets. Thank you for watching. I'm Fredtong Capital, and I'll see you in the next market update.